St. Paul says in the epistle that we have today, if there is any encouragement in Christ, itis un paraklesis in Christo. The Paraclete is the one who comforts and is called to our side, Parakletos, and we must do the same. The soul that emits joy is a great blessing in community. The one who knows how to pull out of nothing at all a smile, out of a witticism unexpected and gratuitous, is precious, whereas the one who is gloomy pulls all the others down. We emit an atmosphere, an aura, a cloud, for better or for worse. He goes on, any incentive of love, iti paramission agapis. So this wanting well unto somebody, in Italian, to want well, volersi bene, means to love, and it is something that one actually can cultivate. I really want the good, the deepest good of the person before me. If, on the other hand, secretly we want to cause pain, again, we are heavyweights, not good to be with. But he goes on, any participation in the Spirit, it is koinonia pneumatos. This koinonia, this communion, can be there or not there in our prayer, whatever its form. A person, for instance, who is difficult to pray with, for instance, he goes more quickly than the others, is a heavyweight in prayer and disturbs communion. But on the deeper level, there can be real communion only between souls who love the same Lord. And at Holy Communion itself, that should be felt. Anything which disturbs that is not of God. And indeed, there too, we can be heavyweights. And should it happen in a community of prayer that goes on unaddressed for years, then there is contamination at the very heart of the life of that community, and graces can be deflected. One can actually pick up sometimes whether there is communion of soul between the brethren or the sisters. Whatever the beauty of music or whatever, if that is there, the true beauty is not actually taking place. But he goes on, any affection and sympathy. Now, the Greek, echoing the Semitic expression, is very powerful here. Itis splanchna, ki iktirmi, if there are any, now viscera, if there are any entrails, bowels of compassion, these need to be looked at. What are our bowels, our spiritual innards made of? Do we feel? Do we actually sympathein in that sense of feeling suffering inside with someone else? Empathy is what feels inside. Again, heavyweights don't do that. They walk away from pain caused and seem to feel nothing. How can one pray having caused pain to one of the brethren or the sisters? remember the Abbot of Roscrea, in the context of liturgy, not well executed, he said in chapter one day, we're not in choir to go into cloud cuckoo land. It would be well then to ask for this, and never in this day which I have before me to cause anything but warmth. I was moved by that passage of the testimony of Gloria Polo, which indicated that she had really become negative in her soul when she had no longer felt the pain that she was causing. And it is an indication of spiritual illness. It's hardness of heart with regard to each other, but it's more of the same. Indeed, how can one behave badly in the rosary, at the altar, in church, and not feel the pain caused to the Lord? One's splanchna, one's viscera, one's interior bowels are not functioning. Hardness inside, the heart. And so it is that a person who prays well feels everything, loves well, and also feels pain, the pain not only of other souls, but the pain of the angels themselves, the pain of the Lord when he is not well served. Loud noise is actually an enemy of interiority. The silent and still soul picks up everything, and all his bowels are fully functioning. A grace to be asked for, this humility. For St. Paul goes on to explain that this humility is part of the game. As Christ had this self-emptying, the kenosis, so we must have something of the same before the mystery of another soul. Considering others better than oneself. Not invading, not talking down to. That happens a lot. Even to talk a lot is to talk down to indirectly. It's to reign over them, to hog the screen of conversation. Humility gives space. It gives space also to God. Over to you, Lord. And St. Paul wants that we look for the interests of others, not for our own. How much self-seeking happens in the spiritual life, subtly and indirectly, covertly and never openly. It's something that we need to look at. Purity of intention. All that matters, Lord, is what you want and serving you. I am not here to glorify myself. I am happy to disappear and just to have you as my consolation and friend.